A man reached for the fridge and suddenly saw a killer lunging at him. He knew instantly his cover was blown. He began frantically throwing cans at the attacker. When the killer got close, he kicked him hard to the ground. Then Dan casually grabbed a pack of diapers and, under everyone's stunned gaze, calmly checked out at the register. As a former top assassin, he knew this wasn't over. Dan drove smoothly back home, hurried to the staircase, and pulled out a duffel bag he'd hidden for years, full of weapons and expired passports. To get his wife and kids to safety, he called his all-capable partner, Augie, and asked him to arrange international passports for the whole family. Meanwhile, Dan rushed to his daughter's school to pick her up, but when he entered the classroom, she was nowhere in sight. Luckily, knowing her habits, he guessed where she might be. He found her quickly and got her out just before the killer showed up. He still had to find his son and wife. Fortunately, his son was only at a friend's house playing video games. When the boy got a message from his friend, he panicked, worried his dad would scold him, and ran outside. Seeing his son safe, Dan gathered both kids and headed off to find his wife Jessica. But on the way, Dan noticed a car tailing them. To check if it was the killer, he deliberately drove into a tunnel. The car didn't follow. Dan breathed a sigh of relief, reunited with his wife, and told the kids they were going on a trip. He didn't explain much to Jessica, just urged her into the car, but it was already too late. The killer had anticipated his move and set an ambush to take them all out. Just then, a bus passed by, and Dan vanished behind it. When the killer rushed into the garage, Dan started the car and sped off down another route. They hadn't gone far when the killer caught up again, trying to force Dan's car off the road. At the last moment, Dan swerved sharply at a fork and ducked into a narrow alley. It hit him then. The enemies always knew exactly where he was. There had to be a tracker on his car. To shake them for good, Dan drove into his workplace's garage and shut the door. Once inside, he pretended to inspect a vehicle, lifted the chassis, and found the tracker in seconds. To throw off suspicion, he secretly moved it onto a loudmouthed colleague's car. The colleague gave him a nod, then hit the gas and sped onto the highway, successfully leading the killer away. With the threat gone, Dan drove his family straight to Las Vegas. What he didn't know was that McCaffrey, head of the assassin organization, had already been to his old home. Seeing photos of Dan's happy family, McCaffrey flew into a rage and immediately issued a kill order. After a long, exhausting drive, Dan and his family finally reached Las Vegas. To help them relax, he booked a presidential suite and even arranged a romantic candlelit dinner. But later that night, as they returned to their room full and content, a red laser dot was already fixed on Dan's